on works better, right? All right, thank you, Sasha, for the introduction. I'm jumping right in, all right? I'm going to ask if you know this person. Okay. Now, when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking about this specific person, because I'll admit, this is a stock photograph, right? But this person lives alone. This person might also have some mobility challenges. They're not driving. Right? This person has no technology experience. Is this still your mom? This person has no technology experience. You know, their life's work probably didn't include those computers. And I think in this case, I think of my mother-in-law who worked in a bakery. And the extent of her technology experience was running the cash register, right? You can kind of picture that. So there's no technology experience here. I also think, you know, of my mother-in-law who was challenged by the TV's remote control. You know, that blasted source button, who changed that, you know, and consequently got in the way of achieving what she wanted. And then on top of these other characteristics, this person perhaps can't afford, or maybe just doesn't have the wherewithal or the desire to jump into something with technology, right? So now, let's see a show of hands. How many of you know this person, right? Show me, do you know this person? All right, this unnamed individual? Yeah, see, they're around. Now, my second question is, how many of you live with this person? All right, does that happen? Yeah, okay, there's a few instances. But the point that we see is that the essential benefits of the digital world are really far away, right? So one of the advantages of being at the end of our time together this morning is that we've been able to leverage and show, you know, talk about the discussions from other people, whether it's John or Stephanie, and everybody's been talking about the benefits of this digital world, but yet this person, this unnamed individual, is far away from this. And so what we want to do here today is shine a spotlight. Now, I'm calling this, and it's a little bit of an unfortunate term, but I'm calling this the darkest side of the digital divide. All right, so you hear about the digital divide and those people that aren't able to take advantage of the capabilities of this digital world. And so I'm calling this the darkest side of the digital divide, having no reflection on the individuals, but that's just so far away. And so the topic that we want to explore today and share with you is, how do we shine a spotlight on the darkest part of the digital divide? And there is an essential question that comes here, in that, how do you take an older adult with no technology experience and help them be connected, engaged, and learning using these devices? So that's our mission today. I'm looking for a nod of the head. Is everybody in the right spot here? Okay, all right, terrific. So we are going to be introducing you to Tech for Seniors. Tech for Seniors, as I identify on the bottom here, is actually a program of gifts for seniors. More on that in just a little bit later. But we're basically saying that we have this mission to provide technology to isolated older adults to help alleviate loneliness and social isolation. Big challenge, right? But let's talk about what we have learned and the directions that we have taken this program. So I like to think that the theme of this conversation, this discussion that we're having today, we're going to share what we do. But I'll tell you, we don't have all the answers. All right? We just don't have all the answers. And so we are interested in listening to other people's ideas that might benefit the program, that might benefit our learners. We also want to collaborate. We like to, if people have materials or ideas that we use, we'd love to engage with you in the same fashion that if you come from a senior organization of some kind and you are interested in learning more about what Gifts for Seniors is doing with this, we'd like to be able to collaborate within this space. All right, so this is really our theme. One of the things that I do when I teach classes, a lot of times I will publish an online page. Those of you who were here in the last session listening to Michelle, I think I'm using the word page appropriately, all right? I like to publish an online page, and I've done that here, right? So on the handout that you got, I'm sorry to tell you that that QR code does not give you the beer list, all right? But that QR code will take you to an online page that will look something like this, right? And on that online page, you can find the slide deck. So if at some later point you come back and say, what was it that crazy guy Don said about this particular topic? So you can go back and view the online page. I am going to cite some resources, some research. If you click on that plus sign, you'll get access. It'll open up to various links that show the research when I talk about the benefit of using this technology. In the spirit of collaboration, if you click on where it says sample lessons and materials, you can click there in order to see a lesson that we have created. And we are very open to sharing what we have created for older adults. So take advantage of that. And finally, there's lots of opportunities for all of us to get involved. And so if you are interested in participating with us, we offer several options for getting involved. Volunteering, collaborating, and so forth. All right, so this is the essence of our plan. All right, so once again, my name is Don Frederiksen, and I'm here representing Gifts for Seniors to really talk about the Tech for Seniors program. Our agenda, we're going to start out, we want to spend a little bit of time talking about Gifts for Seniors. How many of you are familiar with Gifts for Seniors? All right, a handful. Yeah, I think if you're a professional within the space, you probably have encountered them. That'll be first. I'm going to call up Carolyn Dieters to talk about that. Then we're going to spend some time talking about this opportunity, right? This darkest side of the digital divide. Let's define what that opportunity is. We are then going to jump in and focus our attention on the Tech for Seniors Spotlight, all right? What are the mechanics of our program? And then we're going to share some of our guiding principles, things that we have discovered that seem to work for us. And this is where we're looking for other ideas that might help us. And then finally, we want to be listening and collaborating. And I'm going to propose to you that if you have questions, we're going to save some time at the end, but if you have a question that's relevant to a particular topic that we're talking about, please, get our attention. And I think any time is appropriate for a question or a comment on what we're doing. So I have the privilege of introducing you to my partner, Carolyn Dieters, who is the Executive Director of Gifts for Seniors. And you can...
I'm going to take it so I have it for questions too. Okay, well, thank you so much for that kind introduction, and we truly are partners on this journey. I came to Gifts for Seniors about 10 years ago after a personal experience of caring for my grandmother at home, and so I'm very passionate about the work that we do. Gifts for Seniors has been helping older adults live fulfilling lives for over 30 years now. We are just passionate about connecting folks to the services and the people that they need to connect you to live and age well. And so our core focus is, really inspiring that human connection through these community collaborations. And we're steadfast in our commitment to, alleviating those devastating health impacts that can happen once you lose connections to your community. Because a lot of folks, as they age, lose a lot of those connections once they retire or have family members that pass on and just don't have that strong support system. And I know most of the people in the room are connected to some of those folks and work in that area as well. So at Gifts for Seniors, we provide inclusive access to community resources. And we work closely with over 140 other aging services organizations. I'm thrilled to hear that many of you have heard of us, and so we've probably worked with you in the past. We have a variety of programs, but primarily we're providing those community resources to those who wouldn't otherwise be able to have access to them or afford them. We have a Cards for Seniors program, which has really flourished since the pandemic. We get cards and artwork and photography and poetry from all over the world. We just got 2 boxes full from the Netherlands last week, which was kind of interesting and exciting. We have our basic needs program where folks can reach out if someone's had a significant change in their health and maybe they have a new diagnosis and they might have lost or gained significant weight and need new clothing. We had heard about a gentleman that was eating his Meals on Wheels cold because his microwave had broken, and we were able to provide him with a microwave. And then also during the pandemic, we launched our Tech for Seniors program, and that was really trying to get devices out to folks as soon as possible so that they could remain connected. And we've kind of taken it to the next step here with our hands-on training on the tablet devices. But we would love to connect with you and share more about our programs that we can offer to the folks that you work with, or if you'd like to get involved with volunteering with some of these programs, we're always looking for additional support. We started out of Hennepin County 31 years ago, and it was a volunteer program, and very much today we're still a volunteer program with a very small staff. So I think I have just one more slide. Yep. And in the spirit of human connection, I just like to share this photo of myself and my grandmother Glenda, which really has driven my work in this area. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. All right, I wanted to spend some time talking about this opportunity. So we talked about this darkest side of the digital divide. What are we talking about within this space, and what are the impacts that come to us from this space? Prominently, the U.S. Surgeon General in 2023 published the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And this was a report, and by the way, if you go back to the online supplement page, you can find the report. You can find a link to the report there. So it'll be easy to find. This one's also pretty easy to Google. But this was an opportunity for most of us to recognize that loneliness and social isolation have significant impact to the health and well-being of everyone, but it is particularly true of older adults. All right, so in our Gifts for Seniors program, we are talking about applying technology to this challenge. And I'm going to propose to you right off the bat that we are not talking about throwing Zoom at this challenge. All right, now let's talk about Zoom for a second. Many of us, how many of you have used Zoom? Yeah, see, the whole room has. And how many of you were introduced to Zoom during the pandemic? Yeah, see, almost everybody. All right, I was the same, all right, even though there were other platforms available. And so it's natural for people to think, oh, if you're looking at alleviating social isolation and loneliness, you just have to up the communication. And you can up the communication using technology. But I'm here to tell you that the relationship between technology and communication and loneliness and social isolation is not clear cut. In fact, I intentionally put that arrow there pretty small, right? Because it's not perfect. And in fact, if you read the Surgeon General's report, he will propose that technology is actually part of the problem, all right? That it is just not clear cut. And that's why I say we're not here to throw Zoom at this challenge, all right? We want to explore other elements. I was pleased in researching to find that there is some new thinking that's coming on board. And the new thinking centers around the idea of psychological resilience. Now, I've got John in the back of the room, and John, in his opening remarks, actually talked to us about empowerment, all right, that we have a community that we want to empower. And I actually had to do a lookup. All right, what's the relationship between empowerment and resilience? And there is a fairly close tie. They have different definitions. But I think we're talking about the same thing, John, all right, in that there has been recent research that suggests that you can use technology to boost resilience. And then boosting resilience might have a better link toward alleviating social isolation and loneliness, right? Does that make sense? All right, it's a two-step hop, right? So rather than throwing Zoom at this, and I'm proposing that this is a less than perfect relationship, right? But that if you can bring technology into the lives of our older adults or isolated older adults, you can bring technology into that space, that you are equipping them with psychological resilience, or defined as the ability to adapt to life experiences. And that might do better at tackling the challenges of social isolation and loneliness. So I'm talking about a two-step process, all right? So everybody, I want everybody to understand that we're not thinking that technology is the direct solution to social isolation and loneliness, but if we bring this technology to older adults, we increase their psychological resilience, and that might be an alternative path to helping us alleviate social isolation and loneliness. I'm looking for nods of the head. Does that make sense to you? All right. Now, the opportunity is big. Stephanie, in her presentation, also gave us some data, and I'll tell you, to drill into more detail, I was able to find a little bit of information that suggests that, particularly when we're talking about people that are in their mid-70s or later, that the adoption is significantly goes down. And what I try to portray in the graphic on the side is that as we get older, all right, everything goes down, and the same is particularly true when we get into the 75 plus years, the 80 plus years, all right? So the opportunity is pretty significant. So we've got this loneliness challenge, and then we have this opportunity based on broadband use, technology use, that really goes low as you get into the older populations. All right, so what are we seeking? This handwritten note touched me. And this came to us a couple of months ago. Look at the cursive handwriting, all right? Look at, I guess we call these emojis now. And she wrote here, I'm growing slowly in a positive way. This program has played a significant part. This is what we're after. This is the resilience we're talking about, the growth that we're talking about. We're not throwing Zoom at this situation, but let's get these older adults involved in this technology and get them learning, get them engaged with this technology. And we're not suggesting that they're going to jump into telehealth or some of these other elements at the beginning, but let's start to build the confidence, and this is the starting point. All right, so this is our opportunity to talk about the approach that we've taken with our Tech for Seniors program. We will sometimes refer to this as a three-legged stool, and by the way, we can't take credit for this. Of course, a lot of people use a three-legged stool. I stole this, all right, from a presentation from Literacy Minnesota, right, where they talked about this particular type of challenge. If you roll the clock back to the pandemic, even when Gifts for Seniors started in this, we were basically throwing devices out at people, right? And we didn't wrap, we provided a stool with a single leg. And so as we have looked to grow this program and to make it more robust, we are recognizing the importance of the other components. Right, we start out with the devices. Right, so in our program, we have selected the Amazon Fire tablet as being our device of choice, right? And I'll come back to this more in just a little bit later, but we like it because it's adequate. Is that a resounding endorsement? Adequate? It's good enough, it's adequate. It is reliable. In other words, the tablets that we're distributing last month will be the same as the tablets that we distribute next month, right? That they are affordable, and then I made up an adjective, donatable, all right, when you think of a program like this. It is supported by the Amazon App Store so that you can find apps to run on it. If you attended Michelle's session just before this, we learned that applications would be the software that would install on the tablet. We like the fact that it includes Alexa. More on this a little bit later. And we include a protective case, all right? It looks something like this with a protective case. We include a stand so that it can sit up on the desk. We also include a stylus because it doesn't take you long working with older adults to identify that there's a certain dryness oftentimes in the pads of the fingertips that make it difficult, all right, to perform gestures and actions on these tablets. We also refer to these tablets as highly curated, and what that really means is that we do not deliver them out of the box, all right? We open every single box, and we do a couple things. We put our Tech for Seniors student app right on it. I'm going to talk more about this in a little bit. We put some very specific games on the tablet so that those apps are easily accessible. You don't have to go searching for them. So when I talk about highly curated, we're talking about the fact that we control the setup, right, of these tablets. All right, now let me make one comment about the Amazon Fire tablets because I don't want to hear any comments. Or actually, it's okay if you comment, but somebody might say, "Well, this isn't the best tablet." All right. Oh, I like that. The answer was, well, so, all right. It may not be the best tablet, and I would love if there was a representative of Apple Computer who was in the house here who was able to say, oh, well, we can provide you 500 tablets, all right, or if there was another manufacturer who was able to provide this. But given the situation that we were in, these Amazon tablets are adequate, reliable, affordable, donatable, supported by the App Store, and it's the path that we're currently on. We're not saying that it's that path forever, but you know, it works for us. All right, does it make sense? All right. Affordable internet. You have to have affordable internet, all right? Because remember, this is the group that probably wouldn't otherwise be able to afford this technology, right? So it has to be affordable. And it's a crucial element for engagement. It's a crucial element for learning. You know, it's got to be there. We prefer that the affordable internet be available in the home, right? We like when these older adults can integrate this tablet into their daily lives, right? They don't have to walk down to a community site to be able to access the internet. We like working with communities that have Wi-Fi programs. We've worked with sites where the senior housing has Wi-Fi throughout the facility, right? And that's fabulous because they can be anywhere within their facility and access their internet. We have not yet fully tackled the challenge of an isolated older adult living in their homes. And part of that is this, right? See the yellow banner? We do miss the FCC's Affordable Connectivity Program. And you heard about this mentioned in Stephanie's presentation. We miss it. I got really excited when I saw Affordable Connectivity Program on Stephanie's slide. I thought, oh, maybe there was some new news that I mentioned that I missed this week, that maybe there was direction coming. All right, so we don't have that, all right, but there are some subsidized internet plans. And of course, Comcast Internet Essentials is one that you've already heard mentioned here. But you can actually go to, on my resources, you can go to a link that goes to the Minnesota Office of Broadband Development, and they will share some of these subsidized internet programs from other providers, right? There are other options because unfortunately Sasha doesn't cover the whole world, all right, with internet service, and so we need others. There is also the Lifeline program, which is from the FCC, which can help us. It's not, we sure did like the ACP program, all right, but we don't have that at this particular point, but it's an essential component, and so we have to work a little bit harder to figure out how this works for us. Okay. Third leg of the stool. So leg one is the device. Leg two is the affordable internet. Leg three is our learning and support programs. Right, so here's how we've done it. You know, I'm a big believer that learning is more than a class. Right? So you see here that what we have done is we have crafted and designed an 8-week getting started program with weekly in-person classes, right? We come on site and do the classes, right? We do this over 8 weeks. We work with cohorts. We like the idea of cohorts. In fact, we looked at the data and we discovered that if this is a group of people that are all learning together, 73% of them work together between classes. That's beautiful, all right? That's much better than sending them home, asking them to do some homework, and then not, you know, and getting varied results from that. We have an instructor, that happens to be me at the front of this room, all right? We have an instructor. We like to have hovering volunteers, all right? We have a couple of hovering volunteers from our program in the room here. Mike in the back corner is a hovering volunteer. John has done hovering volunteerism, all right? And these are the folks that as you facilitate the discussion, These are folks that are ready to swoop in, helicopter in, right, and provide some help. We have fairly modest objectives because our mission is to add to resiliency and empowerment, and that means that we're probably not going to take them during this program. We're not going to take people into telehealth. We're probably not going to take people into shopping at Amazon.com, right? It's not going to happen. So the objectives are modest, but we also want to keep it flexible. All right, so as an example, we, as we were doing a cohort down at Sabathani, down in South Minneapolis, the director, the activities director there said, you know, we really would like to bring people on board with email. And email hadn't been part of our original plan, but we said, yeah, if this is what the organization needs, and if this adds to the quality of life of these people, let's do that. We created a Tech for Seniors student app, front and center, on the tablet. We install it front and center on the tablet, and that provides lessons that the students can use. I'm going to talk more about this in a bit. And one of the things that we try to do in our learning program is to find sparks. Now, you heard about sparks. John actually talked about sparks in the opening comments. And so when I talk about sparks, I'm not talking about the documentary featuring Robin Moore and Robin Williams and featuring his health issues, right? But rather, the spark is something different that I'll define here in just a second. All right, here's the spark. So what is the spark? When we put these tablets in the hands of these older adults, we look to find what is meaningful and fun for these users, right? And we have discovered that it's different for different people. Not everybody is the same. I'll give you some examples here in just a second. All right, but what we do is we listen and we watch and we learn from the students' reactions. We are constantly asking questions and providing surveys. What is meaningful to you? And this is all in our effort to find the spark. All right, here are some examples of things that might generate a spark. And again, remember, one of the rules of a spark is that it might be different for different individuals. We have seen a spark come out of the Maps app, where we are able to relate this map to, you know, like in my home, we always had a Rand McNally atlas right in our home. And of course, you could spend hours flipping through the pages of this Rand McNally atlas, looking at locations, right? But what really generated a spark, we introduced this when we got into showing our students, our learners, how they could toggle the satellite view and then actually, oh, this is my childhood home, all right? That was spark generating, right? Another example was Alexa. Alexa is, of course, the voice assistant. I'm going to talk more about this in a bit. But we had some people, you know, come back to us and say, oh, I didn't know you could talk to this to get the weather, to get information, to get the news, to play radio stations. I'll talk more about this in a bit. Wikipedia was a hit with some people. This goes back to people remembering that they could find the Encyclopedia Britannica in their public school library. Some people actually had encyclopedias at home, not in my family. We did have the Compton's encyclopedia at my house, but we did not have Encyclopedia Britannica. But they could then look up topics. I learned as our students were browsing that the founder of General Mills actually was a resident of Mineral Point, Wisconsin, right, was the town. And the point is that people, this is an opportunity for all kinds of learning, all right? Games. Some people connected with solitaire. Some people connected with word games. 7 Little Words is one of the tools that we put onto our tablets. My point here is that look for a spark and people have different sparks. The sparks are going to be different for different people, but keep your ears open as you walk through this and see if you can find what is meaningful and relevant to people. All right, so now that's kind of the program. We talked about the three-legged stool, Amazon Fire tablet, affordable internet as we can find it, and we've got this 8-week cohort-based learning program that provides the basis for our learning and support. Let's talk about some of our guiding principles that we used to design this coursework. Where did these guiding principles come from? Right. Well, first of all, we were honored last year to participate with the Office of Broadband Development by forming a digital connection committee. Right. And that digital connection committee gave us the opportunity to pull together experts, practitioners in the field, experts in elder technology, and have discussions about what works within this space. So we were honored. In fact, we were particularly honored when the Office of Broadband Development released their opportunity plan that Gifts for Seniors had 2 call-outs in that 60-page document, all right? And so we were very, very pleased. The other place where we got our guiding principles is what I'm defining here as joyful work in the trenches. And I intentionally put the word joyful in front of it because when I wrote it down initially, I had work in the trenches, and that doesn't sound pleasant, does it? All right? And that this is very much joyful work. This is great, fabulous work. So I'm calling it joyful work in the trenches. Guiding principle number 1, make it personal. We are now thinking that there is absolutely no substitute for in-person training and coaching, right, within this space. There's no substitute for it. We tried, all right, we attempted, all right, but it is now thinking, so part of our case study here is that this is really important. We like the role of digital navigators. Digital navigators might be the instructors that work within this program. And once again, I give credit to another organization. We stole, all right, some of the ideas for digital navigators. We had the honor of working with an organization by the name of Connected MN, and they have published a framework for digital navigation, and we participated in that effort. One of the more meaningful things that I think came out of that digital navigation work that we did is that your digital navigators do not have to be rocket scientists. All right, in that your digital navigators is probably more important for them to have empathy and to have an appreciation of the space in which they're working. We like the idea of having navigators who are hovering, all right, within our coaches. Personal also means relevant and meaningful. That means searching for sparks, right, within. So guiding principle number 1 is make it personal, right, and deliver it in person. And make it relevant, and then use those digital navigators who have a certain empathy and understanding of this space. Oops, sorry, wrong direction. As I mentioned before, we did experiment with an app. All right, on the tablet, we created this Tech for Seniors student app, and our idea was that maybe that we could slide that in, right? That our folks would be able to work within that space. It didn't work all that well, but we do find that it might be useful as a secondary tool, right? As a tool to support the homework. Planfully pursue the spark. I sometimes think, we sometimes rely on family members, children, grandchildren, to provide coaching and training, right, for older adults. And that's good, all right, that's good. But I don't think they're very planful in terms of how they approach that. And so we literally had plans. We had modest objectives. We celebrate success. Playing a game of solitaire was very early on, and we celebrate success when they win that game. We do a lot of rinse and repeating. Michelle, in the session ahead of us, talked about the need for doing repeating, right? In her case, she was talking about vocabulary. We do a lot of rinsing and repeating, right, and going back to some of these topics. And then finally, we are seeking the spark. it's important that we keep this very accessible. Right, we keep it very accessible. We put it on paper. So as an example, when we deliver the tablets, we offer a very nice glossy page getting started guide, right, of our own that breaks down. When you open up these boxes, what do you get these days? You get this tiny, tiny little brochure, right? And so we created a getting started guide, right, that was intended to help people get started. And then every time we do printed handouts. Now, what are those percentages? These percentages are really the usefulness rate. So we survey people, right? Did you find the Getting Started Guide useful? 81% said they did. Did you find the printed handouts useful? 91% said that they were useful. And so this led us to believe that putting it on paper is pretty important. Making it accessible with Alexa. We like Alexa in this space. I've got all of my Amazon devices. I'm sorry if there's any Amazon devices. I'm not going to pull what Jimmy Fallon pulled one time. Did you hear about what he did in one of his monologues? He said, Alexa, order Bisquick. All right, and so apparently there were hundreds of thousands of people that all of a sudden had Bisquick in their shopping carts at Amazon. All right, I'm not doing that. But teach learners how to have a conversation with Alexa. It's not natural, right? They need a little bit of practice, and we have a lesson. In fact, that is the sample lesson if you want to see how we have tried to do that. And we provide example commands for information, organization, entertainment, fun. We like the ability to have these tablets integrated into daily life. We tell people, if you can set this on the stand and have it sitting on your counter, or having it sit on your bedside table so that you can get up in the morning and say, Alexa, what's the weather? Or other information, or there's all kinds of entertainment and fun. So we do like Alexa within this space. We look to make it safe with our tablets. And so we use parental controls. And in those parental controls, we lock what we call the trouble apps, all right? And that would include actually the web browser. We'll do with the web browsing a little bit later, right? But we lock it in the beginning. We lock anything with a purchase function. We lock the App Store, all right? And so using the parental controls, we are able to keep things a little bit safer. I've worked in this space for a while. And I have also come to realize that there is nothing more destructive to learning progress than having to ask a user, particularly in this population, a question like, what's your password? All right? Very destructive. I'm not suggesting that that's not important. But what I am suggesting is at this stage, right, of the progress that these learners are making, let's provide safe apps that do not require us to offer up a login and a password. That'll come later, and we'll talk more about that as things develop. And then finally, we recognize that this whole effort really takes a village, right? All of the resources that you have visited with today and have heard from today really can play an important role in this. Senior Community Services, fabulous, fabulous programs right within this space. It very much takes a village for us to take on this mission. I wanted to talk just briefly about the agency partners, so that as we go into housing, senior housing program as an example, or a block nurse program as an example, we count on the agency partners to help us identify candidates for our program. We're not counting on them to apply for it. We want to identify and have people familiar with them, coordinate facilities, communicate with the residents, and share the agency's needs. And so it really is important that we bring a village on board to this process. So here's the guiding principles, really simple, all right? Make it personal training, planfully pursue the spark, right, have a plan, modest objectives, keep it simple, make it accessible and safe. Parental controls, right, would be a good example for that. And then finally, it takes a village. All right, so it's been our honor, right, to be able to share this vision with you. I think we have time for a couple of questions, all right, before we leave. Thank you to Senior Community Services. John, thank you, all right, to your organization for allowing us to share. And then finally, again, remember, you know, the QR code, if you were thinking the QR code was going to take you to the menu or the beer list, no, it's going to take you to the page that we have published for this presentation. You can also find us at techforseniors.info. Yes, this is not .com, right? That was long gone, but we chose to have techforseniors.info. We have time for a couple of quick questions. Thoughts? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So, and then also when we share, thank you. When we share our, I'm a block nurse program.
Okay.
So when we share our, here's where I'm going, the iPads. We connect it to iCloud, they fill up the space, but they also have their own private information. And so if people give them back to you, how do you wipe that out? And do you have enough storage?
So it's a good question. All right. We don't use that. All right. So we turn off the syncing. All right. And so in our efforts, we take these Amazon tablets and we register them with a single Amazon account. All right. And then, you know, we do not turn off the photo sharing. We turn off the sharing across calendars. We don't even let them get into contacts during this phase. We hope that we can open that up at some later point. And so that would be a difficult challenge. I think you would have to, you know, in this particular case, you know, I think you have to work with Carolyn and get more Amazon Fire tablets, you know, so that the individuals can have the tablets. And we think that might be a stronger. I hope I didn't give away too many tablets.
No, that's okay. I mean, our focus is really at that basic level adoption. And we found that everything was too distracting with, you know, being pursued to make purchasers, all those things. And so to strip it down, to get them using it, you use the apps to learn the functions of the swiping and the scrolling, all that. And then as they learn on their digital journey, we can open them back up and add the things that they're interested in using. And yeah, so people use tablets a variety of ways. It sounds like you have a library. If you're a participant in this course and you can't afford to purchase your own tablet, you can apply for one of the devices that are available.
Yeah, but great question. Other quick questions? Yes.
I'm looking for apps to purchase.
Okay.
For the older adult.
Okay.
The reason being, we have access to the internet with our iPads, but so many of the free downloads have got ads and very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
We purchased Solitaire. We're just kind of on a roller coaster now. We've got some money and we'd like to, you have some suggestions? You mentioned 7 words.
Yeah, that's a good question. Talk to Mike over there. He's been chartered with helping us. Put your hand up, Mike. He's been chartered with helping us find games and apps that do not have in-app purchasing or do not present advertising. And I'm going to say, and John, you can just give me a nod of the head. It's not easy. All right.
We've been talking with the company, Apple in particular, and they said, no, we don't. You can't single out.
So we continue to explore that space, and if anybody, you know, this is a place where we can collaborate if you're working within that space and have ideas. You know, so like one of the things that we did was we decided not to present a web browser, right? But you see on here that there's an app that's called Links for Seniors, and so we decided to introduce these learners to the internet in a very controlled environment where, and we were really even frustrated. We thought, well, man, Wordle would be perfect. All right, we'd love to have Wordle, but guess what happened to Wordle here in the past year? All of a sudden, you get that little ad down at the bottom, and we didn't want that, all right? And so we continue. If you have any sites or apps that don't present in-app purchases or advertising that you can share with us, we would love to know that, and we'll share with you too. Just let us know. Great question. Okay, I think we better end here. I'm taking a little bit over time. Thank you so much for allowing us the honor of presenting our approach here and what we're doing, and I hope you see you around the block as we pursue this. Thank you.